international exchange between you and us, between you and Russia. So we've got 6 countries over here, 3 viewers in live. I guess some amount of people watching us on YouTube also. The whole thing will be translated. The whole thing will be recorded. We've got the live translation on YouTube, the link for which you can send to your friends, mates, whoever wishes to watch it too. And I'll say that the order today is the following. So it's France, Poland, Italy, Mexico, Switzerland, and Yemen. By the way, Abdullah, are you with us?
Yes, I'm here.
Great. So we've got everyone. So how it will be? It'll be simple. Let's keep it simple, informal, nothing super important. First, we listen to your presentation. We carefully listen to it, turn on our imagination, come up with some sorts of questions relating to your country, education system, whatever interests you. Then let's say 10, 12, 13 minutes, we discuss it, ask our questions, and then we move on to the next country. Yeah, and since we've got 6 countries over here, we will have this great opportunity to compare. We'll have 6 opinions, which is wonderful. Yeah, so it's enough. Without further ado, let's then begin. Alex, you are first. Français.
Okay. Here I am. So, can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay. So I will try to make it short within the time frame. So if I go through my presentation, I divided it in 2 different parts. We can say like some general insight related to France and when it comes to geography, politics, and other few insights, and then I will dive into the main topic of the presentation, if I understood well, which is about the educational system. So first, going through the very general. When it comes to geography, France, as everybody knows, especially here, there are lots of European fellow counterparts, so I think you're all aware about what I'm going to say. France is a Western European country bordered by the Atlantic Ocean in the west, Germany and Switzerland in the east, Belgium in the north, the Pyrenees and Alps mountains, the Mediterranean Sea, as well as Italy and Spain in the south. On French territory, you can find 5 main rivers: the Seine, the Rhine, the Loire, the Rhône, and the Garonne. Its capital is Paris, which is maybe one of the most famous European capital, along with Rome, London, or Berlin. Apart from it, France counts several big cities such as Lyon, Marseille, counting respectively, a bit more than 1 million people each, as well as Bordeaux, Toulouse, Lille, or Nantes, from which I come from, and I am located right now because of the pandemics. Normally I study in Paris, but I came back to my parents' place because of the pandemics. Then moving on more globally, it's important to remember that France is composed of a bit more than 20 overseas departments worldwide related to historical matters, with a worldwide conquest, we can say. The most famous are the following, and among others, Guadeloupe and Martinique, in the Caribbean Sea in Central America. Guyana, located between Venezuela and Brazil, Mayotte and La Réunion in the Indian Ocean near Madagascar, so near this African island. Then moving on, if we make some comparison, in January 2021, comparing with Russia, France counted a bit more than 67 million people, which represent the 2nd most populated country in the European Union after Germany, now that the United Kingdom left the EU, and a bit less than half of Russian Federation population, if we make the comparison. But in terms of surface area, Total French territory is about 643,000 kilometers squared. As a comparison, Russia is nearly 27 times bigger, which is kind of relevant to raise. Then French territory, if we go a bit more into details, is administered and divided into 13 different regions. Île-de-France, Hauts-de-France, Normandie, Bretagne, Pays de Loire, Centre-Val de Loire, Grand Est, Bourgogne-Franche-Comté, Nouvelle-Aquitaine, Auvergne-Rhône-Alpes, Provence-Alpes-Côte d'Azur, Occitanie, and Corse. Their names looks quite long, quite long, we can say, but it's mainly because there were more regions in the past, but lots of them have been merged together in 2016. Was a political measures from 2016, which consist in making economies by merging different regions. And each of those regions are divided into departments for a total of 100 departments, 96 metropolitan, so in Europe, and 4 overseas. Moving on, if we consider quickly the political system in France, current French political system is built from the General de Gaulle upon the 5th Republic, from which the constitution appeared in October 1958. And it is what we call a semi-presidential republic constituted of an executive power. The executive power is basically the government with the direct universal suffrage elected president and his or her prime minister for a 5-year duration mandate. So if we take current case, since 2017, last time we got presidential election, Emmanuel Macron has been elected president, representing the party he created himself in 2016, which is called La République En Marche. And next presidential election are going to be next year. So they are currently competing already for next elections. Then, of course, we cannot speak about France without dealing with the culture. Traditionally, France is famous for its culture worldwide, especially when it comes to architecture, art, such as the Louvre Museum, the Eiffel Tower, the Versailles Castle, leisures with Disneyland Paris. Not to mention his well-known cuisine, of course. France remains the first country in terms of number of tourists each year, with approximately 80 million per year. And of course, we are looking forward for the sanitary situation to be solved, because France rely a lot on tourism, and nowadays is very difficult. I mean, it's difficult for every country in the world, but when it comes to culture and tourism, sightseeing, it's even more difficult for countries such as France. And we are, of course, looking forward to see you coming back to France, guys. Then, if we dive into the main topic of today's presentation, which is the educational system, we can speak about the fact that first there is a primary and secondary school and high school. In France, school is mandatory between 3 till 16 years old. Primary school starts at 3 years old and ends at 10. At 10 years old, children start secondary school, what is called the college, but not to be mistaken with the United Kingdom and United States College, which here refers to the university, even if they are written the same. Once college is done, pupils go to high school from 15 till 18 years old. And it exists different types of high school, if I go next. The generalist high school, ones is in which pupils theoretical and conceptual knowledge in science, mathematics, languages, economics, philosophy, literature, and so on. So it's very like theoretical high school. The goal is to pursue long studies at the university for a duration of between 3 and 5 years when finishing this high school, or even longer sometimes. Here, pupils are not trained at all for a specific profession, but they just deepen their theoretical knowledge. Then there are the technological high school, the second type, which looks like a little bit the generalist one, since theoretical background is also taught. But teaching methods are much more practical and based on concrete application. Then those pupils are rather looking for short studies tracks like 2 or 3 years after university in order to access technician position. And we finished with the last case, which is professional high school, less common in France and less valued, unfortunately, which is much different than the previous high schools, since teaching methods in those high schools are 100% towards a very specific job, such as baker, butcher, mechanic, hairdresser, for instance. And here pupils are directly operational after finishing high school and can work without a complementary track from the university. And indeed, you can't access the university from a professional high school. Anyway, whatever the high school type, pupils end by taking a high school certificate exam, which is called baccalaureate, which is mandatory to access public university. And only generalist and technical high school baccalaureate enable pupils to go to the university, as I said. Then, speaking about the higher educational system, we can distinguish 2 context environments. First, the public university environment and the private school institutions environment, especially when it comes to engineering and business management fields. Here you can see the main institution in France, but there are not only those ones. And if we consider the different advantages, let's examine the advantages and drawbacks of such an educational system. When it comes to public university, there are many advantages, of course, obviously. When it comes to public universities, tuition fees are free. Not only need to pay your annual registration for 150 euros, but it's just a matter of administrative fees. And for most of the field, only the baccalaureate diploma is needed to register. There is no competitive exam to take in order to enter university, and hence, in comparison to many countries in the world, French public university is very easy to access at the first sight. So we could consider that French system is based on equality of opportunities and meritocracy, since even students from modest families are potentially able to follow medicine or engineering courses and then climb the social ladder. Likewise, students with a very low income can very easily benefit from grants provided by the state with an amount depending on given ratios in terms of income. To fight such an issue, we can also to fight such an issue, sorry, I lost my line, and also enable those students to quickly gain professional experience. Over the past 20 years, plenty of apprenticeship programs have been developing in which students become part-time workers and part-time students. Like, I can give an example. It means that if you choose such kind of program, for instance, if you are enrolled in marketing, if you take the month of April, the 2 first weeks of April, you are going to university in order to follow marketing courses. And the last 2 weeks, the remaining 2 weeks of the month, you're going to have a marketing position in a company so that you can apply concretely your knowledge, which is something very, very interesting. And those contracts have a 12 to 24 month duration, which is a great advantage because those students can benefit from much more professional like they have the same amount of professional and academic experience when they get their diploma when entering the work market. And they are nearly 80% of the time hired by the company in which they did their apprenticeship at the end. So it enables me to dive into Alex's question when it comes to what employers truly value from young graduates looking for their first job. In the past, there was like a huge focus only on the diploma and the name of the school you came from as a way to discriminate discriminate a good future worker from another one, whereas now employers are much more paying attention to work experience, what the person concretely learn from it. And as like my personal case, I did most of my internship in recruitment because my major is in human resources at my school, and I can assure you that I barely looked at my candidate's background on the university tracks and so on. I was only looking at basically the experience and what the guy had learned from it, and what would be concretely like interesting in the next position I was suggesting to him or her. So that's something to bear in mind, but I think it's the same in your country as well. Another advantage is that as a European country, France belongs to the Erasmus Plus program, which enables French students to study or work for a total of 12 months in one of the country partnering with the programs, benefiting from monthly subsidiaries, and conversely for French students, part of those countries who wants to study or work in, they can benefit also from those subsidiaries. And like for 6 months, yes, for instance, if I take my case, I benefited from when going to Spain, and I benefited from nearly 2,000 euros, and when I went to Slovenia, 100. And people going to France, they approximately get the same. So it's something very interesting to bear in mind, as long as your country belongs to the Erasmus Plus program. And moreover, France is a very friendly, like student-friendly country, like Slovenia, as you could see, with lots of discounts. And maybe it's not as generous as Slovenia, since cost of living is higher, obviously, but still there are lots of discount when it comes to museum, cultural things, restaurants, and so on. Also to access, shelters, accommodation. And we also need to highlight some drawbacks, and I will do quickly to end, sorry. It exists kind of an issue between the public and the private teaching, as I said earlier, in France, since the fact that public universities are kind of easy to access with a very low academic level required, because the baccalaureate is very easy to access, actually, to pass, in comparison to 20, 30 years ago. It makes that a lot of students access the university, but they don't actually have the level to be there. And then the level of selection being very low during the first 3 years of university bachelor, usually students that don't show great level of commitment, and lots of them don't even attend classes, they give up. They are just registered to be able to benefit from the grant from the state sometimes. And lots of them give up after a few weeks. And therefore, you can easily guess that it exists kind of a vicious circle, because professors, when they see that, sometimes they also give up. They don't want to give class anymore, and they are also absent quite often, and their commitment is quite low. And then whatever the field of a study, the master's degree is then more demanding and selective. So it's changed as you're going through time. It explains why most of French university students have a master's degree, because bachelor's degree value is kind of, I mean, if you get a bachelor's degree in France, it doesn't worth anything in the job market. So that's why like maybe all French student goes until masters in order for their diploma to get a value on the work market. Like for instance, it would be nearly impossible to find a job with a bachelor's degree in economics, law, languages, or psychology. Here a master's degree or a PhD, doctorate, is needed. And besides, private teaching is much more better recognized in terms of level of quality, at least in general. These are private schools I showed you here.
Alex, are you with us? Guys, can we hear each other?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I also can hear you. I think it's just
Great.
Alex that
That's
doesn't
just
hear.
Alex interrupted. All right. All right. If he does not appear in, like, say, a minute, we should probably go on, because by this time we should have been actually already starting with the next presentation, 1621. I hope Alex will get back. I think I'll call him. But so far, do you guys have some thoughts to share on what Alex presented? And by the way, we've got Anna from Mexico here, right?
Yes, Anna? I'm here. Sorry.
Yeah,
We can see you, Anna.
Yeah, I'm fixing that. Can you see me now?
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. Hi, Anna.
You just came a little later. I didn't welcome you, but now, thank you very much for coming, Anna. It's great to have you.
You're welcome.
Over here. Just a sec, I'll call Alex, and then if he does not respond, we should go and then. And by the way, Lera, we also have a presentation, right? From us. Who will... Anyway, Alex, is there?
Закончился Коля.
All right. So will you come back? All right, so we will then move on to Poland, but all right, so come back when you can, okay? Yeah, Alex has some internet problems, so let's not lose our time, and then Aga, maybe we could then start with you.
Okay, I can. How do I show something? I'm trying to figure out. Yes. How to share my screen, and I think I made it.
And Alex also came back. So Alex, are you with us?
Then he could continue, maybe. I don't know, as you wish.
Sorry, I've been I've been cut. But I was nearly like I was nearly done. Maybe I bit a bit long. I'm sorry for that. But maybe we can discuss afterward. You can start your. What do you think, Alex? Maybe we can go on with Poland and discuss about everything afterwards.
Yeah, I think they'll be best. Yeah. Let's do it.
Okay, so don't go on.
So it's me now.
Yeah, the floor is yours.
Okay. So I think it will be rather short because you, Alex, scared me a couple of times that it had to be short. So it's short. Just as a word, not warning, but yeah.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
That's okay. In the background, you can see some cultural folk drawings, which are used in some part of Poland. That's why I put them there. But sometimes you can see those drawings in some souvenir shops or stuff. And it's quite common to see in bigger places. And to begin with, then, where is Poland? Poland is in Central Europe. It's basically in central in terms of north, south, and also east, west. I marked it with red and also put an arrow here. It's not that far away from Moscow, and I think relatively. We're neighbors with Germany and the other surrounding countries. We have access to the seaside. It's 440 kilometers long seaside. Also have mountains in the south of the country. Yeah, and as of the temperatures, it's intermediate, so it's not as warm as in the south, and it's not that freezing as in the north. Right now we have around 10 degrees, maybe 15. Then in the summer it might reach to up to 30, sometimes around 20 as a standard, and in winter maybe -5. So it's mild, the climate. And there are 4 seasons that you can clearly distinguish between: summer, spring, autumn, and winter. Some key information about Poland. It's 38.5 million inhabitants in the country, and most of them are Polish people. It's due to the World War II, basically, that there were quite many more minorities in Poland, but due to the war, they were either exterminated or moved to another places. And Poland is quite a homogeneous country, so both 99.something% are Polish people, and also the same comes with the language, and everybody basically speaks Polish here, and there are really few minorities in terms of languages or ethnicity. As I said, it's located in Central Europe, and we like to underline this because sometimes it depends on who we talk to, but if it's a person from, I don't know, Italy or Spain or France, it seems like Poland is in the east, but then I don't really like this, and I think people don't really like this, and we like to call ourselves, yes, we're in the Central Europe. The capital city is Warsaw. It's located more or less, well, a little bit to the east of the country, if you see on the map, Warsaw. The official language is Polish, and that's the only official language. The currency is złoty, it's PLN, and it means golden in Polish. And we're the EU member since 2004, so it's already been a couple of years, and you can really see how the country changed during this time, and it got really renovated, and really many buildings and infrastructure were improved during that time. Yeah, and we have 440 kilometers of the seaside in the north. You can see some picture in the upper left corner of the seaside, and below you can see some mountains. It's Tatra mountains. They're quite high mountains, up to almost 3,000 meters high. Yeah, and almost 10,000 lakes in different parts of the country. Many historical cities, because many of them didn't get destroyed during the war. Warsaw did get destroyed, and it was basically rebuilt after the war. But all the other cities are historical and really come from the past years. And our flag is white, red, as in the upper right corner. As of the education system, it was recently changed a little bit how it works, and right now it's first 8 years of primary school, then 3 to 4 years of high school, depending on which school you choose. When you choose the technical one, it's 4 years, and the general one is 3 years. And afterwards, there's a university. It's usually 3 plus 2 years, 3 for the bachelor and 2 for the master's. And the exception is medicine and law, and maybe quite a few other disciplines that are 5 or 6 years in total. But otherwise, it's always divided. So if you study bachelor in place A, then you can easily study a master in place B. It's just make a division in where you study. Public education is free, including universities, and it's really common to study at a public university. So I do not fully know anyone studying in a private university, but I do know many people studying in a public ones. So it is for free, and it's really common to just go there after you graduate from school. Education is compulsory until the age of 18. Then basically nearly all people that graduate from high school decide to study at a university. It's actually really common to have a degree. Even those persons who don't really know what they want to do in life or what they want to study, they decide to study, and usually it's some no-name degree, like nothing really specific, but it's really common to have a paper that you have a degree, at least a bachelor. And it is also really common to learn languages at school. And it's becoming more common right now to have 2 languages at school at the same time, and usually it's all the time English and some other language, which most common are German, Spanish, Italian, Russian, or French. Yeah, and I attended school for 12 years, and for those 12 years I had 12 years of English and 4 years of German, and I could choose also other languages. It depends on your preferences usually. Some reasons why you would want to study in Poland. Maybe I'll come to the pictures later. Just some basic information. As I checked in the internet, I didn't know it myself either, but I checked it on some web pages, and it said that around 8% of all the students are from abroad in Poland. So I think that's quite a big number. And also there are many degree programs that are offered in English. And I also checked some bigger universities and smaller universities just to have an overview, and all of them had at least 1 or 2 degree in English, and they are quite different. So either the technical ones or the some with biology or with other disciplines. So there's quite a big variety of programs that are taught entirely in English. So yeah, I think that's quite a good option for someone who doesn't speak Polish and would like to study there. The living costs are quite affordable and way more affordable than in other European countries. Poland is cheaper than Slovenia, for example, or than France or Germany. The accommodation, of course, really depends on which city you go to. Warsaw is definitely the most expensive city, but it's a capital and it's quite bigger than the other cities. Also, Krakow could be more expensive, but the smaller the city, the cheaper it gets. And I just put some cost that for orientation. It's not necessary that it's definitely 70 or 100, but it's more or less around this amount. So this is the amount of euro, 70 to 100, more or less, for a dormitory. It's usually a shared room, two or three persons in the room, and 120, 180 euros for a room in a shared apartment. So if you share the room in a flat, then it costs more or less around this amount. Maybe a bit more expensive in Warsaw, of course, or if you want to live in a very modern flat, that it will be more expensive, and so on. But just like a more or less amount. What I find really good is that the transport is with a 50% discount for all the students and for all public transport. So all the trains, all the buses, whatever you take, also the city buses, it's all 50%. So the trains are already relatively cheap. And if you consider that you pay only 50% for this, then it's getting really cheaper. So you don't really have to pay much if you want to go from A to B, especially if you're a student. As of the tuition fees at the public universities, as I said, it's for free. So I think you only need to pay around 15 euros for the entrance, like to matriculate yourself, and that's it. And you don't pay anything more during the entire studies. But it's for the Polish and for the EU students. If you're a non-EU, then some fees might apply. And yeah, the webpage is set around 1,000 to 5,000 euros per academic year. But it also might vary depending on the university or on the degree. So that would have to be checked, yeah, in person. English is a relatively widely spoken language, and basically everyone that is more or less our age or a little bit older speaks English, at least to some degree, at least to be able to communicate. So it's fine if you do not speak Polish and you come to Poland. You might have problems when they're older persons because they don't really speak Polish, but on the other hand, many older persons understand and can say something in Russian. It's because of the history, because of the Soviet Union. People were learning Russian at schools, like my parents' age, and they do not speak fluent Russian, but they understand a bit and they can say a couple of sentences. So I think you could, with some English and Russian, of course, you could get along quite well with speaking with others. Yeah, and last but not least, there are many places to visit and many reasons to travel around the country. In the north, we have the seaside. There are quite many lakes. There are quite many forests. There are many really nicely looking cities. So despite the pandemics, which hopefully will finish at some point or will let us come back to normality a little bit at some point, there are many reasons just to take a train and then go to some place and to see something. And I just put pictures of some bigger cities here. Yeah, it's basically the central parts of the cities that I wanted to show you a bit. Warsaw has also some older section of the city, which was rebuilt after the war, but yeah, it also has the modern skyscrapers and so on. So I think that's it. Thank you that you were listening, and if you have some questions, then I hope I might answer them.
Thank you very much, Aga. And Alex, also thank you for your presentation too. So let's quickly go back to France now before we discuss Poland.
Okay.
Alex, and also this question will relate to everyone, but primarily to Alex. Is it true that in France, as you're doing a bachelor and you're getting a degree, you cannot get a degree unless you do at least one semester of internship? If we talk about this management, economics, business administration field.
Actually, it really depends on the field you are, because if you're in business management fields, actually, whether it is like private school or university, you will at least do 1 or 2 internship. But if you have like a bachelor's degree, in general, you will have only 1 internship, like 3-month internship or things like that, which as a result doesn't give you lots of experience. That's also the reason why, as I said, like a bachelor's degree value is not very, like you can find a job with a bachelor's degree unless you do an apprenticeship program, so that you get 3 years of academic experience, but also 3 years of work experience. So then you can find a job. But if you do like a classic university track of 3 years, it's like impossible. So yeah, in that case, you do some internships, but not that much. It's it answers partially your question.
Or yeah, it does. Thanks. So it depends on your major. I got it.
Yeah, because if you do psychology, for instance, or languages, or I don't know, philosophy, there is no internship at all. It's like just knowledge. But then, yes, of course, business management is kind of mandatory. Or if you do economics, it's not mandatory, but management, yeah. There are 2 different tracks.
All right. Is it the same in South Korea? So,
Can you repeat the question?
I mean, if you're doing, let's say, management or business administration degree, you're trying to get a bachelor. Can you get the diploma without doing any internship during your studies?
Oh, yes. For just the diploma, we don't need internship, but to get a job, I think these days internship is mandatory. But for diploma, it's not.
All right, great. Now it's clear then. Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
Anya, do you have Lera, Sadi? All right, we don't have that many questions as yet. Aga, I also had a question to you. It is the following. What are these Polish students' preferences on what country to work in after graduation? As far as I understand, many students go to Germany as a country to work in. And how do you think it is?
I think Germany for sure, because it's a neighbor, so it's not that far away, and also quite many people speak some German, so that's quite common to go there. It used to be Great Britain. Actually, Great Britain was the #1 for many years to go to work, and not only after you graduate, but basically to earn any money or to work wherever. Then it was Great Britain, but right now it's getting difficult. So I would say those 2 as the main choices to go, and then I guess it's relatively equally distributed. It maybe depends on which languages people speak.
And why do they want to go there? Why don't they want to stay in Poland?
Should I make an anti-campaign right now about Poland?
I don't know.
No, I think
as you wish.
Basically in Germany, also in the UK. Well, I did the same actually. I never studied in Poland. I went to study in Germany, and now I work in Germany. So I escaped kind of. But like in Germany, the working conditions are better, and I think you can earn more money in Germany than you can earn in Poland. Of course, it really depends on what you do. And if you're a specialist, maybe it doesn't really matter that much. Yeah, but it depends on what you do, and I think it's just easier. Well,
all right.
In some ways.
Okay, thanks. Guys, do you have something to say? Maybe? No? All right, but then move on. We're actually on time. I thought we would exceed the time limit. It's fine. So it's now Italy, Salvio and Valentina.
Yeah, I will.
It'll be great to find out more about Italy.
Okay.
It'll be fantastica, I'm sure.
Can you see it, Alex? Can you see it,
No.
guys?
Not yet.
Just a second. Wait. Now?
No.
No.
Strange. It's very strange because I clicked on shared window.
So Moscow-Rome connection is pretty poor.
No, I don't know. I don't know if it's a problem of Teams. I will.
Whatever, guys. How's your weather?
Now? Not yet.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
More or less.
So Vale, you can start.
Worse now.
Yeah, okay. So, hi everyone. We are Valentina and Salvio, and we will introduce you something about the Italian education system. So, I will start with a brief introduction of about our country. And as you can see in this slide, we are one of the countries in the world with the largest number of UNESCO heritage sites. Well, there is a good race with China, but we are still first. And as you all know, for example, we have the Colosseum, many temples and architectures spread to the territory. So Italy is a country known worldwide, certainly for its food and beautiful landscape, monuments, and history. And as you can see here in the north, we have Alps, where you can go skiing. And if you like it, well, I love it. So, or maybe to have a nice time relaxing, walking in the nature, and visiting a lot of villages. And then in the next slide, in the center of Italy, which is very Salvio, please.
I moved on. Can you?
No, you haven't.
No, maybe like this.
Yes.
Maybe like this. Okay.
So in the center, it is very various, and there are some of the greatest cities of art, such as Roma, Florence, or Naples. And then in the south, we have the major islands, so Sicily and Sardinia, which are very popular because of the white sand beaches and the clean sea. So, as you can see, variety of different landscape within a few hours of by car, and passing from the sea to the mountains. But how much do we know about the education system? And here we have Salvio that will tell you something about.
Привет, everyone. So, as every country, even Italy, I think, yeah, Italy has like good pros and cons about our education system. So, for example, let's start from the pros, from the good things. First of all, we have a very good level of preparation, a very good level of theoretical knowledge. I think about in every faculties or every course of studies. And like we will say later, education is accessible to all according to the constitution of Italy. So regardless of the various and different levels of income, and to grant all of this, the state Italy grants like scholarships and provide scholarships and allowances to families and even with other benefits. On the other side, there are bad things, and the theoretical knowledge we put in the good things, in the pros, is even on the other side a bad thing, because Italy has it's true that it has a lot of theoretical knowledge that we learn and we accumulate, I can say. But on the other side, we lack of specific practical activities and specific practical knowledge. So more of this kind of knowledge, and I can include myself as a student of medicine. So more practical knowledge should be included in this system. The school system is another bad thing, is that is poorly adapted to passions and abilities, the true skills of the students. So is scarcely customized, we can say. Another thing that Valentina said, that Italy is divided in the north and southern part of Italy. It's there, even the center when Rome is there. And there is an education gap between the north and south of Italy. So historically, the northern part is the richest part. So even a lot of students, for example, from the medical specialty test after the 6 years of medicine, in my case, the highest scores come from the students that studied in the university in northern Italy. In the east, even the place with Article 34 of the Italian Constitution says that the school is open to all, and the lower education is compulsory, mandatory, so free. And for the one that have not the means to reach that kind of levels, the state and Italy provide the means to reach them. So in the highest grade of studies. So the compulsory schooling lasts 10 years and concerns the age group between 6 and 60 years old. So the compulsory schools ends at 60 years old, and is free for the first year of school. And we can say, except for some kind of little fees, very like 50, 60 euros per year that accumulates for, I don't know, school trips or maintenance for school. So there are little expenses during the years, and the fees for public university are divided into several prices range basis of the family income. For example, on the right, there are the 13 range of prices for medicine where I studied, and we can say from the family with the lowest income to the highest income. And we can say that, the prices, the fees for the total fees for the whole year go from 16 years to 2,700 years. So it's a huge gap. I think, Vale, it's your turn.
Then we ask ourselves which can be the key factors that university graduates look for an internship. And I would say that we are looking for companies that can provide a work experience that increase our skills, that make us gain experience and make us practice all the theoretical knowledge acquired during the years of study. And in particular, here I report 4 important points that, in my opinion, are really important. So the internship should allow us to gain connections, because getting in touch with professionals in the sector can open up job opportunities and contacts for the future. And then we have the internship should enhance the skill development. So an internship must allow us to test our skills, and is the time when we can make mistakes, learn from them, and increase our sense of responsibility, and step out from our comfort zone. So it is a kind of playground to practice our organizational, communicational, and teamwork skills. Then the internship should be a worthwhile of our time. So intern often feel like that they are wasting time, as we would like to have a full-time job right away. But it is crucial to seek an internship that is added value. So it's important to look on a company that can give us opportunity for the future. And last but not least, the internship should be the golden occasion to work with the right kind of people.
Okay. Last thing from me, this is our the countries where students, Italian students, tend to go for work. In reality, actually, it depends from faculty to faculty, but more or less are pretty much the same. So this is on the right, there is a scheme from an important economic Italian newspaper, and it says that the most maybe desired, we can say, the country that students wish to go for the most for work are Germany, UK, Switzerland, Spain, France. But I should add some other countries, for example, for my case, Ireland or Netherlands, for example, maybe for different reasons. For example, not only for average better earnings, because Italy has pretty good earnings, but not the highest, we can say. But even for better service, so even for the quality of life, maybe in Italy is pretty much good, but maybe the bureaucracy often is very strict, is very frustrating sometimes. So in other countries, for example, we can say that Slovenia, for example, has a very way better bureaucracy, for example, and so on average is another good point. But another important point from, in my opinion, is a better treatment by colleagues or bosses. For example, if you work in a lab, in a medical ward, in my case, always, maybe they treat, in Italy, they tend to treat you like, not like your peer, but with a, I don't know how to say, but not like your peer, not on the same level. So instead, I talked with, for example, with people that worked or have some Erasmus experience, like traineeship in Netherlands, in Rotterdam, for example, and the things are completely different. So yeah, these are the countries, and I think that's it. So spasiba, thank you, and grazie.
Спасибо. Thank you very much. Well, that was very interesting. Before I say my thoughts, guys, do you maybe have some questions to Salvio, Valentina?
Well, I have a question for you.
All right.
For
sure.
you. So, have any of you ever thought of coming to Italy, maybe for studying or an Erasmus or something like that?
Yeah, definitely. Is it a question only to us, to Russia, or to everyone?
Yeah, to everyone. Well.
So I will say, yeah, definitely. You see, in Russia, our education system isn't that great in terms of academic exchange, student exchanges. So we don't have that much opportunity to go to Italy, I'd say. But it will be great, yeah, for sure. Certainly, yeah. And you guys? And you guys?
Well, not too many.
I mean, if I still had the... go on.
Yeah, I'm going to Italy every now and then just because it's very close.
Yeah.
Just because it's nice.
Yeah.
It's kind of same here. I still have the opportunity to go whenever borders will be reopened, of course. But I mean, I wish I could still get another Erasmus, but within 2 weeks, my studies are done, like definitely. So Slovenia was my last opportunity to go to Erasmus.
Yeah, same for
So
me.
The same for us. The same for us.
Yeah. This is the end now. So as part of maybe work travel of holidays and things like that, of course I will come back.
let's wait and see. Let's wait and see the situation. Yeah, on that.
So Salvia, you also mentioned that in your university, in your higher education system, there's a flaw of that the knowledge you're given is very theoretical, too much theory and not enough practical.
Yeah.
I'd say here, if we compare here, it's all the same. I'd say if you're interested to know. Here we, at least in the field we're studying, which is management, economics, business administration, finance, we're also not getting enough practical knowledge. Yeah, but that's the way it is. Guys, what about you? Anna, what do you have to say, by the way? Would you say it's the same for you in your Mexican university?
Yes, I think well, I was about to mention it on my presentation also, but I think we are like used more to learn in a theoretical way rather than practical.
Oh. Yeah. Yeah, but let's not.
It is what it is.
Yeah, it is. It is what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe for us in the medical area, it's more, I think, felt, because yeah, we should have like all the practical part on the patients, like the blood tests and more practice on the like by visiting the patients. I talked with a lot of Slovenian guys like I think 1 year ago now, and yeah, they have really way more practical stuff. They have, for example, very complex exams, and like divided in three parts: written, oral, and the practical part on the patient. In Italy, we lack all of these parts. So yeah, maybe it's more felt in the medical area. So I don't know. This is yeah.
All right. So then, Salvio, Valentina, thank you very much for your presentation. It was a big pleasure to listen to it.
Thank you to Alex for the opportunity. Grazie.
Пожалуйста. It is you're welcome in Russian. Пожалуйста. Guys, I would also like to mention that after you gave your presentation, please stay with us just as long as it is convenient to you. If you gotta go, then no problem. Sure. And Anna, you're next, but I'll just say that we've got Katya from Russia, from our university. Katya, are you with us?
Yeah, sure thing. Hello, everyone, and I'm ready to give my presentation to all of us anytime you want.
All right, great, Katya, thanks. So let's move to Mexico and then listen to your presentation, okay? Yeah, so Anna, then the floor is yours. It will be great to educate ourselves on Mexico. Anna, does it work?
Yes, just give me a second. I'm trying to share my screen. Okay, I think something's happening. So if you want, we can have the Russian presentation first, if it's okay.
Katya, if you're ready, then yeah, it would be great.
Yeah,
Okay,
sure
sorry
thing,
for
guys.
that.
As you wish. No problem.
Yeah, let's do it.
So,
I will also prepare my questions to Russia.
just a minute. Okay, can you hear it?
Yeah. We can.
And can you see the picture?
Yeah, very well.
Nice. So, hello everyone, I'm a first-year law student, and today I'll tell you about the Russian educational system. So, I suggest that we start with the historical aspect. Before Peter I, the development of education was quite slow. Private schools were open infrequently. school trainings where all the education was based on special collections of school rules were opened for noble boys only. Significant changes in education took place under Peter I. He established the Academy of Sciences. The academy consisted of gymnasium and university, and children studied in a gymnasium for 7 years. They studied Latin, German, history, and geography. The history of higher education goes back to 1755, when the first university was founded in Moscow on the initiative of Lomonosov. Before Catherine II, only men could study, but in 1744, the right to get an education was also given to girls. After the revolution in 1917, the education was guaranteed to Soviet citizens by the constitution. School attendance was compulsory for those between 7 and 15, and higher education lasted for 5 years. So let's move on the current state of the educational system. General education is divided into 4 levels of education, as you can see: preschool, primary general, basic general, and also secondary general education. Levels of general education are continuous, starting from the level of primary. This rule means that students who have not received primary general or basic general education are not allowed to study at the following levels. At the same time, primary general education and basic general education are mandatory levels of education. So let's go on to preschool education. Education usually begins with preschool before the age of 6, although it's not compulsory. Children typically go to kindergartens or other preschools that focus on both intellectual and physical activities. The next step here is primary school, which is a part of the general education program and which is compulsory. So primary general education, that is aimed at the formation of the student's personality and development of the individual abilities, positive motivation, and different educational skills such as basic learning skills, culture of behavior and speech, and basics of personal hygiene and healthy lifestyle. It lasts for 4 years, from 7 up to 11 years old. Basic general education lasts for 5 years, from 11 to 16 years old, and aimed at the formation of students' personality, such as formation of moral beliefs, tastes, healthy lifestyle, mental and physical labor. Secondary general education is aimed at further formation of students' personality, the development of Western interests and knowledges. It lasts for 2 years and gives you an opportunity to enter either colleges or get secondary vocational education, or enter universities after passing Russian state exam, which is usually held in June. So school exams in Russia, yeah, obviously, after completing primary and basic general education, everyone participate in final examinations, and after completing the secondary general education, the students need to pass the state final attestation, which is compulsory nowadays. And after getting the at least C mark, they are able to get a living certificate, which will allow them to continue to get higher education. So 3 kinds of higher education institutions are universities and academies. Institutes are the previous name of universities. Nowadays, institutes are just branches of universities, not the real one institutions. Universities have a broad range of programs, but academies place an emphasis on research and practical skills. So levels of professional education. Professional education, a type of education that is aimed at acquiring students in the process of mastering the main professional educational programs of knowledges. We have secondary vocational education, bachelor course, master's degree, specialty, and training of highly qualified personnel. In 2007, the single cycle specialist program was replaced with the 2-cycle degree, but still specialist degree has the same legal standing as a master degree and gives full access to doctoral programs. Secondary vocational education is aimed at solving the problems of intellectual and cultural development of a person and prepares qualified workers or employees and middle-level specialists in all main areas of social useful activities. Higher education, in its turn, aims to ensuring the training of highly qualified personnel in all major areas of socially useful activities, such as meeting the needs of individual intellectual, cultural, and moral development. So let's go on to Bologna principles and talking about bachelor's and specialist, masters, and so on. Upon completion of secondary education, students can pursue either bachelor's or specialist degree, both qualifying students to later pursue a master's degree. Bachelor's degrees are given after 4 years of full-time study at university. Specialist degrees are awarded after a minimum of 5 years of study and are more focused on practical education. Both qualifications require students to successfully defend a thesis and, of course, pass examinations. This degree is conferred in all fields except medicine, where the first stage of education lasts for 6 years. Master's degrees are awarded after 2 years of study with 1 year dedicated to research, which includes practice and preparation for a thesis defense. Students who passes a master's degree are eligible to pursue the doctor's studies. Postgraduate education is divided into 2 parts in Russia, and 2 degrees are required to confirm student status as a scientist. Postgraduate studies can only be pursued at a university or scientific university. The final doctoral degree, as you can see on the left top of the screen, is obtained after an additional 2 or 4 years of study in postgraduate education. Neither bachelor's or master's degree existed in the Soviet system and were introduced to confirm the Russian education system with international standards in accordance with the Bologna process. This change has helped Russian a lot to get higher education qualifications, receive recognition and acceptance abroad, which was a previous problem for international alumni. So, and I would also like to add that in order to get a good or prestigious job, it's necessary to have a master's degree as a priority, since many employees consider a bachelor's degree to be insufficient. This is especially true for the legal profession. As for the prices of education, they differ a lot, from $1,300 to $6,500 for a year. Foreign students who come to Russia are perceived with enthusiasm, and for admission, you need to pass the entrance exams in the main disciplines. So I would say that that's all for now. Thank you a lot for your attention.
Thank you, Katya. Thank you. So guys, I don't think we over here have any questions to Katya. It was a great presentation. I don't think we can ask anything. So if you are curious to know something, it's a good time.
Yeah, well, I've listened to all the presentations and I understand that our country is very close in the educational system with Poland. Like we have all the same attitude to education, and all of the students try to get abroad to get higher education in order to be more qualified specialists, which will allow them to get higher pays here in Russia in order to get a job or to be qualified as a professional.
Yeah, fair enough.
I think it might be this kind of pressure. And also, when I compare this to some persons from Russia that I know, or that like indirectly know that they're coming from Russia. I think there's this kind of ambition that you want to, at least among some people, that there's this kind of ambition that you want to be the first, and also the degree is kind of, you don't perceive it as a thing that, well, maybe it might be useful, or well, maybe I'll do something else, but it's really like this, like your eyes are like you're really concentrated on the thing that you have to have this degree, and you don't really consider other options.
And yeah, by the way, the same thing about getting the bachelor's degree. Lots of guys, after getting this one paper that they finished school, try to get to the university, and no matter what they want to do in life, they just skip it and just go to university because everyone tells them to do that. It's like habit. That's it.
Yeah, that's a good word. It's a habit. So you don't really consider other options, not because you're lazy or you're not qualified to consider other things, but just because it's a habit. You just do it.
Yeah, it is a social norm, I'd say.
Yeah, kind of.
I think if I told my parents and grandparents, like, hey, I don't really feel like getting a degree, they would think like, am I crazy or something? Yeah, am I willing to give up on my future career opportunities and all this stuff? Yeah, so it's very, very absolutely common to go get a degree right after school without even thinking much what exactly you want to do, where exactly you want to develop. You just go get a degree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same. Yeah, absolutely the same with the gap year. Nobody wants to hear about that at all. Like, you need to study and that's it. No gap years. What for do you need it?
Yeah.
It's also sorry. Yeah, Salvo.
Yeah, I think in Italy the gap year is not a common habit at all, because I think it's more something related to northern countries. So I think I don't know if in Poland, Aga can tell, but I know Sweden, Norway. It's more there is a more common habit. I know, because it kind of helps you to decide, maybe to decide a more, I don't know, detailed road. I don't know, a more precise road for maybe not for the rest of your life, but for a great part of it. So, but in Italy it's not a common habit. So.
I would say that it's kind of growing. Like I have lots of friends who just after high school, they went 1 year in Australia doing backpacking or things like that. But when you come back to France, then apart from the fact that you master English, it's not very well seen by companies. Like they will ask you, why did you, like, what did you do for 1 year? Like things like that, and it's still not very well seen. Even you can learn lots of things about yourself, personal development and so on, but it's still very frowned by companies.
As for Mexico, it's really common to have a gap year, actually.
Do Mexican boys have to go to army after school?
Yeah, well, it's mandatory, but it's kind of like
they avoid it.
Yeah, I mean, there are some ways you can avoid it, but so it's people do like this raffle. So like you can either take like a white ball or a black ball. So I think if you have like the white ball, you are supposed to do the military thing, and if you have the black one, you're like free. But there are like some ways that you can make just to have the black ball immediately. So yeah.
Okay, I think we should mention on our side, on the Russian side, that all guys in Russia, male, until the age of 27, it is mandatory to go serve in army. This is also part of the reason why so many boys also go get their degree without thinking much what they want to do, because as long as you're studying in higher education institution, nobody will draft you into army. But as soon as you graduate, and if you're below 27, you will get into that, how to say it politely, army. Okay? Yeah, we're actually recorded, so I gotta be polite and formal. So, if we're done with questions to Russia, Anna, let's go to you. Let's move to Mexico.
I hope it works. I'm really not used to Microsoft Teams. Can you see my screen or not yet?
Yeah, I think, yeah, we do.
We see ourselves. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Do you see my screen now?
Yeah.
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 Yay. Great.
Canvas.
Yeah, Anna, so the floor is yours.
Thank you.
It's okay now.
So, hello from the other side of the world. First of all, thanks for inviting me to such cool event. I'm Ana Paula, I'm 21 years old, and as you can see, I'm from Mexico. I live in Pachuca, in a little city in the central part of the country, and really close to Mexico City. So I'm pretty sure when you hear Mexico, the first thing that comes up to your mind is tequila, parties, tacos, but we're definitely more than that. Also, in fact, we do have great parties and the best tequila, I have to say. We are one of the countries with more heritage sites, of course, after Italy, and 35 World Heritage Sites. Specifically, we are the fourth country with the greatest biodiversity in the world. We have more than 29,000 archaeological sites and 67 indigenous languages. Even our cuisine has been declared an intangible cultural heritage of humanity. And we have one of the 7 new wonders of the world. It's this one on the left corner, Chichen Itza. Okay, so for those who don't know, Mexico is located in North America. Most of the people think that we are in Central America, but that's wrong. Our capital is Mexico City. Our national language is Spanish. Our population is of 130 million inhabitants approximately, with a surface area of 1,900 square kilometers. Our currency is the Mexican peso, and our type of government is the Federal Presidential Constitutional Republic. And this is a little picture of my city, well, of the center of my city. And the time has come. I will try to explain as simple as I can what education is like in Mexico. So this is basically how our education system structure is. Starting from the bottom, we attend to kindergarten for 3 years, followed by 6 years of elementary school, and finally 3 years of middle school. These 12 years are the mandatory ones in Mexico. After those years, students have the opportunity to continue with their studies on high school or a technical high school. But in reality, due to the bad living conditions and poverty problems around the country, many students decide just to abandon their studies. And this is why government created the job training programs. These are some online courses that people can take just to gain knowledge and professional skills to be able to work. And next, for the undergraduate studies, we can either study a bachelor's degree or a technical degree. And then we have 2 years of master or specialization. And after concluding that, you can study a higher doctorate degree. In Mexico, we have the right for free education, but before comparing public and private universities,
I wanted to show you the percentage of students in both types of schools, from basic to higher education. As you can see, the majority of students attend to public schools. In general, only 15% of students study in a private school. Also, I think it's interesting to tell that how the percentage of students in private schools increases from middle school to university. I didn't really find a specific reason why, but I think this is because students believe that it's better to save money on basic education and just study on a public school and invested on their university studies on a private school, which is supposed to be better. So public versus private universities. The bigger difference, cost. In Mexico, we have, well, as I told you, we have the free education. Hence, the fees for public unis are mostly symbolic. So they can go from less than $1 to $1,500. And on the other side, for private unis, they have an average cost of $6,000 to $46,000 US. For the selection criteria, both unis have an admission test, but it is way harder to get into a public school. Only the best scores get in. And as for private unis, if you can afford it, you are practically in. Next, as for academic offer, public unis have a wider academy offer. You can study from the most classic degrees to the most specialized ones. And on private unis, the degrees depends on the student demand. And lastly, for infrastructure, even though the public universities have a bigger budget, both universities invest on their facilities and technological advances. Here we can see the top 2 universities in Mexico. UNAM, the one on the left, is a public university, the #1 in Mexico. Random fact: 4 out of 5 the best universities in Mexico are public. And on the right, my lovely university, Tec of Monterrey, ITASM, as we also call it. Both of these universities have a high prestige. They both offer scholarship programs. They have collaboration with public and private companies, so it's easy to find a job after graduating. And they also have bilateral agreements with foreign universities for exchange program, but it's not that easy to go overseas because of the resources. And they both offer sport teams, clubs, and many other activities. And they are on the top 5 of the best universities in Latin America. And actually, the UNAM is on the top 100 of the best universities around the world. In general, the main pro of education in Mexico is that it's free. And the major cons is that, as I told you before, is that it's theoretical rather than practical, that it's insufficient, because although education is free, the education system does not guarantee education for the majority of citizens. Also, it has a low quality. Yes, we have great universities, but in general, the average education is not that good. And unequal because the access to education is lower for vulnerable groups, such as the ones living on rural regions. Moving to a different topic, working in Mexico. What do employers seek and value? I believe it's pretty much the same all around the world, but here I mentioned 4 important ones. First of all, that the graduate took extracurricular activities, volunteering, being part of clubs, sport teams, etc. Next, work experience such as internships. Also, their skills and capabilities are really important. And lastly, and not that transcendent, but still important, their school of origin. Okay, so being honest, not many students have the opportunity and the resources to work abroad, but the ones that do, they mainly emigrate to the United States because of the proximity, the big jobs opportunities, and pretty much life quality. But students in Mexico also consider Spain, Canada, Great Britain, and France as the best countries to work in. Okay, so I'm pretty sure that maybe not all, but most of our problems that we have in Mexico could be solved if we really gave the importance to education that it deserves. Although the Mexican educational system has grown, work continues to guarantee the right of a good quality education for all citizens. Education is the foundation of everything, and our leaders haven't yet understood that. I really hope they will, but just as Mandela said, education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. I love this quote. And well, thanks for listening. I hope you understand everything.
Yeah, it was a great presentation. Thank you very much.
Gracias.
It was really great.
Okay, I don't know how to stop sharing now.
Okay. Well, that was not surprising to see that 60% of students who leave Mexico for other countries go to the States.
Yeah, well, I really didn't find the exact percentage of students that that want to go abroad to work for, but it's not that high. I mean, it's 60% of the ones that are able to do it. So.
Yeah, and what about you personally? Would you like to stay in Mexico or go somewhere abroad? Maybe Russia, Moscow?
That's a really hard question. I mean, sometimes I really want to live in other place, just to work on other countries. I think it's easier to grow on my degree and on my professional life in other country, and that's really sad. But at the same time, I really want to stay in Mexico and to do something for my country, because I think most of the talent that Mexicans have is emigrating to other countries. So that's pretty much why we are not solving our problems, because people are just moving to countries that don't have the problems we have on our country, instead of trying to do something to solve them.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Let me also ask you a question. What's the difference between student opportunities, education opportunities in big cities like Mexico City, for example, and villages, very remote towns on the border with the States or in the South border? Is it so huge, or is it moderate?
No, I think there is a big difference, but not between Mexico City and the North cities. So the best places to work within Mexico are the northern cities and of course the capital. But I think on the south they don't have as much opportunities, work opportunities, and even study opportunities. So yeah, there is a big difference.
So, and do the universities provide students with dormitories, some student halls, well enough?
There are some, but I really don't know for public schools. But on my university, on the bigger campus, they have these residences, but you have to pay for them. So yeah, I don't think they give you as much help as we wanted to.
Oh, okay, okay. And what if, for example, we over here and Valentina, Sumin, Livia, Salvio, Aga, Abdullah, and Alex, we come to Mexico and we look for a job over there. What's the employee's preference? Will he rather, if he sees two candidates, he's you, and with the same skills and knowledge, let's say foreigner, will he rather choose you or a foreigner? How do you think? Maybe, I don't know, maybe you have friends or acquaintances who are now working, so you could, maybe you know something about this.
Yeah, I think it depends for the work you want to apply for. And also, I think it's a really important point if you speak Spanish. But if you are like a foreign citizen, and you have like more or less knowledge of Spanish, I think people will consider, well, big companies will consider hiring people from other countries.
Okay.
But
that is unexpected. Okay.
Yeah, because I think that you as a foreigner like expect a higher a higher payment, a higher salary. So yeah, people like companies that want to reduce their costs wouldn't think on hiring people from other countries because they will expect more money. So yeah.
All right, thanks. Gracias. Or gracias.
De nada. Yeah, gracias.
Para el centro.
I'm so glad that you remembered that.
¿Quieres tomar algo? Yeah, naturalmente. Yeah, so thank you once again for your presentation. It was great. Absolutely.
You're welcome. Thanks for inviting me.
So next on our list, it is Switzerland. It is Livia. Livia, it's great that we're having you with us today also.
Yes.
Are you ready?
Huh? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, I will just share my screen. It seems to have like some sort of problems, which is strange because before it didn't have.
Anyway, let's work them out. Let's not leave our countries, but work on the problems.
It's strange because I just tried it out like a few minutes ago and it worked. Huh.
If you can't, then it's Abdullah after you. So
I have no idea what the problem is.
Maybe you could try to reconnect.
Yeah, maybe I will go out of the meeting and join again. Just
yeah, okay. Abdullah, by the way, can we see you also? Are you with us?
Oh yes, but I have a technical problem with my camera. Okay.
Sure.
I'm sorry, I can't. Yeah.
Perfect. I will try again.
So, I mean, is it late at your place? What's the time?
It's 11:30 p.m. It's not too late.
Yeah. I now can. I can see the problem now.
Abdullah, ¿se la
Yémen.
I'm sorry, I need a few minutes. Maybe it's
That's
better
fine.
if
yeah,
you...
then I think so too. Abdullah, so maybe then we go on to you, to Yemen. I'm plunging into the Arab culture.
Oh yeah. So let me share my screen now. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, and the presentation too.
Yes. Just a minute. Okay. Hello everyone, and thanks for having me in this online conference. And welcome to my presentation on Yemen and its education system. Once moment, my name is Abdullah, as you can see. And to start with my presentation, I'll start by talking about Yemen in general. So, Yemen country situated at the southern eastern corner of the Arabian Peninsula, between Oman and Saudi Arabia, at the entrance of Bab el-Mandeb. Can you listen? Can you hear me?
Sure, very well.
Oh, okay, all right. So there are three main economic sectors of Yemen. They are oil, agricultural, and fisheries. Yemeni is economy is incredibly reliant on its export of gas and oil, but also has low oil output and revenue relative to its neighbors. Yemen is bounded by to the south by the Gulf of Aden and the Arabian Sea, and to the west by the Red Sea. Its territory includes a number of islands as well. The history and culture have been influenced by the country's strategic location at the southern entrance of the Red Sea, a crossroads of both ancient and modern trade and communications route. On top of that, Yemen architecture is among the loveliest and most fascinating in the Arab world. As you can see in my screen, here's the capital, old city, the capital of Yemen, Sana'a. And beside the man-made structures, there are so characteristics of the region. The diverse landscapes with river valleys, mountainous terrains, and beautiful coastline make Yemen one of the charming countries. And let's talk about the second topic, which is about education system in Yemen. Education in Yemen has also been a top priority by the government. Basically, the school system of Yemen consists of three parts. The first part is the basic or the primary. Second part is the secondary education and college, and the last part is the tertiary higher education. Primary education in Yemen is like a government priority. Some even say the top one, yet the poorest still struggle to benefit fully from it. And the gender distribution remains skewed. The basic education programs last for 9 years, and is compulsory in theory, if not universally so in practice. The process completes with the award of an intermediate school certificate. Sorry, do you hear me?
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, good. And the secondary education completes the 12 years school education cycle. Students who choose to complete their university preparation follow a common curriculum for grade 10. In grade 11, they switch to literary or scientific tracks. At the end of grade 12, all write their general secondary education certificate as an exam. What about vocational education? It is an alternatively, they may switch tracks and move to technical secondary school, vocational training center, a health manpower training institute, or an agricultural secondary school according to the needs of country or students. In this way, a variety of different skills at different levels are acquired in a country, continually crying out for more skilled hands. And the last type of education is tertiary education. The tertiary education is really only began in the 17th when Sana University was established in the capital. Today there are 9 state funded university and a variety of private university and college too. And here we can see like the locator of university, like the most popular universities in Yemen. And also here we can see the average fees of the majority, most common university in Yemen. And here we can see also the grading system for post-secondary and secondary school. I think it's different. I'm studying here in Moscow in Russia nowadays, currently master degree. So the GDP is different. And last, education in Yemen has struggled during the conflict in Yemen, but in Yemen education witnessed a noticeable improvement during the pre-war period until like 2013 before. And since the war began in March 2015, education has been greatly affected. The United Nations say more than 1,100 schools have been closed, either by direct damage to them or because they are being used to house displaced people. There is an urgent need to restructure the country's education system by reinforcing and distributing and separating the terms of reference for various administrative levels, enabling them to tackle challenges. It is also necessary to activate the education management information system to facilitate management, monitoring, and control of the education process for better quality education in Yemen. And that's all with my presentation. Thank you for your attention, and I am all ears to hear your questions.
Thank you very much, Abdullah. It was so interesting to see. No, I learned quite a lot. Yeah. So right now there is war in Yemen, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's sad. And are your friends, do you have friends who are also studying in Yemen universities?
Yes, I have a lot of friends there.
So you're now studying in Moscow in Russian?
Yeah, in
education.
People's Friendship University of Russia.
So when you talk to your friends in Yemen, can you notice some tremendous or little difference in the education?
Well, basically, the education in Yemen, like as most countries, like depends on theory, not in practice.
Okay. Guys, so Livia, do you think you could move on?
Yes, I think I was able to fix it. I just wasn't able to open and share my presentation, but now it should work.
All right, Abdullah, then thank you once again very much for participation, for your time and effort. That was great.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Okay, can you see my presentation now?
Yes.
Yes. Perfect. Hallelujah. So
great.
Perfect. So short, I would want to present me. My name is Livia Wies. I'm 25 years old and I have a Master of Science in Environmental and Natural Resources and a Master of Science in Water Science and Environmental Engineering. I actually already finished my studies last year. And on the presentation on the right, you can see where I'm from. I am from the very eastern of Switzerland. Then the blue arrow marks where I studied. I studied nearby Zurich. And now I actually live in the canton of Argovia, which is more western. Yeah. About me, I'm working in environmental engineering for an electricity company. And there I do mainly environmental construction monitoring and environmental impact assessments for biomass and hydropower facilities. About Switzerland, as you probably know, Switzerland is pretty small and we only have 8.5 million residents. We do have a direct democracy. That means that we basically can vote about everything that we want to. I mean, not everything, but yeah, a lot of stuff. In comparison to most other countries, we do not have like a president. We have a federal council consisting of 7 persons. So there is not one single person in charge of executing something. There's always 7. And within those 7, there's always one of them is president for 1 year, and then it switches to another one. Our administrative capital is Bern. Actually, we do not have a capital city, which is a fun fact. Switzerland is one of the 3 countries, I think, without a capital city. Even most Swiss people think that Bern is capital city, but it's actually only administrative capital. And we actually just never fixed an actual capital city when Switzerland was founded. We have 4 national languages: German, French, Italian, and Romansh, and a ton of dialects. Also with German, we do speak German in school and we write in it, but in our everyday life, we speak Swiss German, which is a bit of a different language than German. Yeah, Switzerland, it's very small. We do not really have big natural resources. That's why our economy always relied on services. Our currency is the Swiss franc. We do not have the euro in comparison to the surrounding countries. Yeah, what is special? Even if Switzerland is very, very small, we have a very, very diverse topography. So we have more metropolitan international centers such as Zurich, Geneva, Bern, and so on. We also do have a lot of rural landscape, and also the Alps. Maybe you can imagine that leads to the fact that Switzerland is actually very sparsely settled. I mean, in comparison to other surrounding countries, just because due to the mountains, there are no big settlements up in the mountains. So there is also a strong tendency on urbanization. So a lot of Swiss people are moving to the urban areas nowadays. Yeah, just some impressions of Switzerland that I took over the last few months. In the first and in the third picture, you can see where I am from and where I grew up, like nearby. In the second picture, you can see the city close to where I live now. And in the fourth picture, you can see the south of Switzerland. It's called Ticino. It's the Italian-speaking part, where we Swiss people love to go to holidays. Yeah. Now to the Swiss education system. I know it looks very, very complicated, and trust me, it is. I think what is special about the Swiss education system, I won't go into detail, is that we believe in growing. Like, if you're 40 years old, you can still begin to study at the university, because we believe in like personal growth over time. And first of all, we have like the compulsory education of 9 years, which you can see at the bottom. And then, for example, my way was to go to get the baccalaureate, and then I went to the university. So you can see my path there. So I did my bachelor after getting the baccalaureate at the University of Zurich, and then I moved to the University of Applied Science. Applied Sciences universities are very much focused on practical studies, which is very nice if you want to have that. So you have like the opportunity to choose between like practical university and theoretical university. But then I just want to show you the opportunities that we have in our education system. For example, after those 9 years of compulsory education, maybe you are not really into going to school. So you can decide to do what we call Lehre, which is the one like the federal diploma in the middle. There you work like for 3 to 4 days in a week in a company. And then the other 1 to 2 days, you have like a special schools, which is the lectures are focused on what you actually need for work. So let's say my boyfriend, he had a very interest in doing stuff with plants, so he became a gardener. But he did like the special school and got the diploma. So he was able to work on this field, and also with the diploma you get quite a good wage. But then he decided, oh, I want to study and I want to have more like theoretical knowledge. So he moved on, did like the baccalaureate too, and then moved to the University of Applied Sciences. Or a friend of mine, he actually hated going to school. Like after compulsory education, he was like, I don't want to go to school anymore. I mean, he had to for this like education, the practical one. And then he went to become a salesperson and sold electrical devices. Like, as I said, 3 to 4 days, and in the other 1 day he went to school. And then after like a year or two, he realized that he actually is really interested in electricity and like electrical engineering. So he also did the baccalaureate and then switched to the ETH, which is like the very best university in Switzerland. So just to show you, like, even with like, if you don't want to study, there is the possibility to do like a special diploma on a field, and you get appreciated in that because you receive like special education and also practical work you do in there. I think the characteristic of the Swiss education system, to say short, is really like permeability. So wherever you start, you can go wherever you want. And I think that's really awesome. And we also really appreciate apprentices, which apprentices is this system with 3 days of work and 1 to 2 days of school. And we actually really appreciate what they do, because we say and we think that not everyone is great at going to school. Some of them are actually very good, like craftsmen, or let's say you're a very good hairdresser, but it isn't necessarily your you don't really like going to school. It's not something that you're good in, but you might still be a good worker. Yeah. What also is special is that education is mostly very cheap or even fully paid by the canton. We have some well-known universities which are very famous, and in general there is a high standard of education. But in comparison, I think, to the other countries that presented their education system, not everyone has to study. You don't need to study and to go to university in order to get a job. Yeah. Now, shortly about the Swiss labor market. We do have low unemployment rates. Most graduates actually stay in Switzerland. I wouldn't know of like people moving elsewhere. I mean, sometimes for experience, but it's not usually to do that. What is really important is a professional CV and motivational letter, but it really imports. It really depends on which job you actually want. So there's a large difference. A CV for like someone in marketing looks different than a CV of, let's say, as I am in environmental services. Your grades do not really determine your chances to get a job. So just as important as your education is your personality and activities that you have done besides your education. So that are part-time jobs. For example, I worked part-time for 2 years, and besides my studies in bachelor as a salesperson in a shop. Or also your hobbies and volunteer work is a lot of employees really appreciate it when they can see that you are very like, yeah, that you maybe give more than just like work. You're more of a personality than just your grade. And also internships have a growing importance, but it really depends on the field. Yeah. What is also, I mean, special, probably you know, the wages are relatively high, but living in Switzerland isn't cheap. That's also a reason, I mean, the high wages, why a lot of people from other countries want to work in Switzerland. And also in some fields, we do not have those qualified persons in Switzerland, so we actually really need people from abroad. An example is, for example, medicine. We do have a lot of doctors from Germany and other surrounding countries. Yeah, so that's it. Thank you for your attention. And yeah, any questions?
Sure. But
yeah.
Firstly, thank you very much. It was a great yeah, Sumin, you're giving an applause. That's right.
Sorry, I can't see you.
Yeah, thanks. Bye.
Sorry, I had a question. I thought like that Romansh wasn't spoken anymore, but is it still the case nowadays?
Yeah. There's like 6% of us speaking it, and there's a growing importance because people are. It's a language that always disappeared because it was like seen as someone people only speak if they cannot speak German or Italian, and now everyone that I know that speaks Romansh really wants to like teach the language to their children because they have seen the decrease and now they see like the importance because language is also an important part of culture. So they really like celebrate it, which is really nice.
Okay, and what does it look like? I know
it's really, really difficult. It's like a mixture between Portuguese, Italian, and some like in this degree, yeah, there's also 4 different dialects which they cannot understand each other. So, yeah.
Okay.
Really special language, but nice to hear. It sounds a bit like from the in melodic. The melody of the language is the same as Italian.
Like your Latin listening. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll listen to that on YouTube. Would be
yeah,
fun.
sure. There's also some like musicians.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I felt in Switzerland it's more open to restart something or like change what I work. And because in Korea, for most companies, they have like age preference. Like if they pass, like for example, 26, 27, 28, they some companies don't prefer like too old age. So that's why I think Koreans worry about starting something new. And in Switzerland, is there anything like that, or?
It depends on the position. I mean, in general, for example, I applied for a position where I wasn't qualified of, but they still took me. Because sometimes like the description is just way over what they actually expect. So yeah, I mean, sometimes it really depends on the position. But in general, we see that every young person needs to like collect experience, and everyone has to do it, you know. Even old people were young somewhere. I mean, they had to do the same. So it depends on the position, yeah. And also the field.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
The education system, which I just heard of, is the most flexible education system I've ever seen and I've ever heard of.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you ask us, I don't think there is much flexibility over here. Especially when we speak of changing your major. For example, you were thinking of becoming an engineer, but then suddenly you wish to become a marketing specialist. Here, I don't think it's so simple to change, but as I understand, it's more or less easy to do that in Switzerland, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you study and you already finished the government only pays like your second master's degree if you're, I think, below 40 or something. But yeah, but other than that, I mean, for example, let's say my sister, she after compulsory school wanted to be a secretary in a hotel, like at the reception. And then because she doesn't really like going to school, she wanted to have more practical education. And then after those 3 years, she decided, oh, I'm more interested in like the medical field and administrative services. So she switched to that and now does like a special school on that. And she's only 20 now, and it's completely normal to like switch. Also, my father, he worked in like a ton of different fields. It's completely normal, yeah.
Okay.
It's normal if you're like a doctor, like a human medicine, because like the education takes very long. I don't think you want to do a second degree after like spending 10 years at university, but if you want, you can do that.
Yeah, I wanted to add something, because I think this flexibility is linked to the stuff that we were talking about before, the gap year stuff, like something like that. I think that there is like a inverse proportion. So the more flexible maybe your education system is, the less pressure you have to decide, oh my God, what I have to do in my life for the rest of my life. So in Italy, there is, I think, this like invisible pressure that starts from, I think, the 4th, 5th year of the high school. And so maybe it's linked to the fact that, yeah, we don't have a gap here. So maybe, yeah, flexibility on one side is good. In fact, I appreciate the Swiss system. And on the other hand, there is this kind of, social pressure, more like a social pressure, yeah. So
yeah, I mean, this social pressure you can also feel in Switzerland to some degree. Let's say like a lot of people that do like the practical school after compulsory school, they think of students as being like lazy and not doing anything, and they think they will never have to work and they just get the money from the government and stuff. But I mean, often those people then in the end also end up at universities, because above a certain age, they suddenly realize, oh, I also want to go to a practical university maybe or something. So I think, this like pressure is visible to some extent, but it's not that bad. Yeah.
All right. Guys, are there any other questions? If no. Okay, then if not, I think we're done. Let me just say for the last time that I thank you all, everyone, Livia, Savio, Sumin, Anna, Valentina, Alex, Abdullah, Aga. Thank you very much for your participation, for your time, for your effort. I also would like to say that I think you expected more people to view it, and it would have been much better if more people view it, because we would have more questions. People didn't have the chance to come apparently anyway. I hope you don't take it in bad part. So thank you once again. And also thanks to Katya for your presentation, Katya, about Russia. That is it. We appreciate this opportunity very much, and we are appreciative to you extremely. Yeah.
Yeah. And thank you to you, Alex.
You underlined something for you in terms of Russia, in terms of our education system, in terms of our life. It was very educational. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks to you.
Thank you, Alex.
Thanks. Have a nice day.
That was
Have a good
really nice to
evening.
meet her today.
Yeah, have a good rest of the day. Yeah, but Sumin, good night.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good night. Good evening. Yeah. So it was great to see you and have you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
До свидания.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.